daughter was there, their daughter Emily, and we were all looking at the menu in a very grown-up way. And my friends, they turned to their daughter Emily, see, and they said, "Emily, what are you going to have for dinner?" And Emily said, "Cookies." Oh, I could see it. You know how that look grown-ups get when the temperature's rising? That was beginning to happen. There they were, embarrassed, in the middle of a restaurant, and their daughter wanted cookies and cookies and cookies. I thought, we need a story, or we'll have too much trouble. So I told her this story. Emily loved to eat cookies more than anything else in the whole world. Yeah, Emily wanted cookies for breakfast, cookies for lunch, cookies for dinner, cookies for dessert, cookies all the time. You know, Emily's mother would say, "Emily, at least try your carrots." Emily's father would say, "Emily, eat your spinach." But Emily would just say, "Cookies, eat." Now, Emily's mother and father tried to trick Emily into eating her food by making her food look like cookies. They'd cut her sandwiches into circles. They'd squish the meatballs flat. They'd slice the cucumbers into tiny wafers. But Emily could not be tricked. Cookies are nothing at all. Eat. Well, they didn't want Emily to starve. So, you know, sometimes you can wear your parents down. And they decided to let Emily eat cookies. They let Emily have cookies for breakfast, cookies for lunch, cookies for dinner, cookies for dessert, cookies all the time. For breakfast, Emily would have sugar cookies. On a cold morning, she'd have oatmeal cookies. For lunch, she'd have peanut butter cookies. For dinner, she'd have shortbread and gingerbread cookies. And for dessert, chocolate chip cookies. Emily ate cookies all the time. Now, because Emily only ever ate cookies, she did not grow up the way you and I grow up. You see, her arms and her legs didn't get very long or strong. Her face and her body got to be kind of soft and round. Until Emily sort of started looking like a cookie herself. She stood in front of her mirror one day and said, "Look at me! I'm a cookie girl!" And then she ate an entire bag of double fudge cookies. Well, now one day Emily ate up all the cookies in the house. So her mother went down to the grocery store for more. And Emily stood out there on the front porch waiting for her mother to come back. And when Emily saw her mother coming down the sidewalk with a big bag full of cookies, she got so excited, she jumped up and she fell down. But she didn't fall down the way you and I might fall down. Nuh-uh, because you see, Emily was soft and round like a cookie. So when she fell down, she began to roll. She rolled right down the front steps. She rolled right down the sidewalk. She rolled right into her mother. Her mother fell back. The bag broke open. The cookies scattered all over the sidewalk. But Emily just kept rolling. And she cried out, "Help me, spare the world! Stop me, I'm a cookie girl!" Well, now Emily's mother got up and ran after Emily, saying, "My baby! My baby!" But Emily just kept rolling. Well, not just then, Emily's father was on his way home from work. He was bringing his car around the corner when Emily rolled right in front of his car. He screeched on the brakes. She bounced off the bumper. But Emily just kept rolling. And she cried out, help me, spare the world! Stop me, I'm a cookie girl!" And then Emily's mother ran past, saying, my baby! So, Emily's father ran right along too, saying, Emily, stop right now! But Emily just kept rolling. When just then, the mailman delivering the mail. He did not see Emily until it was too late. She knocked him back. His bag flew up. The letters scattered all over the yard, but Emily just kept rolling. And she cried out, help me, spin and whirl. Stop me, I'm a cookie girl. And then Emily's mother ran past saying, my baby. And Emily's father ran past saying, Emily, stop right now. So, the mailman ran right along too, saying, clean up this mess. But Emily just kept rolling. She rolled right down to the traffic light. It was a red light. Emily knew better than to cross at a red light without somebody to hold her hand, but she couldn't stop. She rolled right through the intersection. The cars swerved, the trucks honked, the policewoman blew her whistle. But Emily just kept rolling. And she cried out, help me, spin and whirl. Stop me, I'm a cookie girl. And then Emily's mother ran past saying, my baby. Emily's father ran past saying, Emily, stop right now. The mailman ran past saying, clean up this mess. So, the policewoman ran right along too, saying, little girl, pull over. But Emily just kept rolling. Well, she rolled right down to the grocery store. She rolled right through the grocery store door. She bumped into the bag boys, she bruised the bananas, she banged into the baked goods. But Emily, and she cried out, help me, spin and whirl. Stop me, I'm a cookie girl. Emily's mother ran past saying, my baby. Emily's father ran past saying, Emily, stop right now. The mailman ran past saying, clean up this mess. The policewoman ran past saying, little girl, pull over. So, all of the bag boys and the checkers and the customers in that grocery store ran right along too, saying, what was that? But Emily just kept rolling. Well, she rolled and she rolled and she rolled and she rolled and she rolled right past the frozen fish. She rolled right past the dairy case. She rolled right past the soup cans and the cereal. She rolled until she rolled right into the cookie shelf. And the boxes of cookies and the bags of cookies all broke open and cookies completely covered Emily. And finally, Emily stopped rolling. And her mother and her father and the mailman and the policewoman and the bag boys and the checkers and the customers in that grocery store, they all gathered around that giant pile of cookies. They started putting the cookies away, looking for Emily. They put the box cookies back in their boxes. They put the bag cookies back in their bags. They put the bags and the boxes back on the shelves. And when they had cleared all the cookies away, Emily was gone. And the bag boys and the checkers and the customers in that grocery store all said, that's really weird. A policewoman said, poor kid. Mailman said, what a mess. Emily's father said, Emily, ate too many cookies anyway. Emily's mother said, my baby. But later on that night, when everyone went home, when the doors were locked and the lights were out, a voice called out from the cookie shelf, saying, yum, yum, spin and whirl, I'm happy in here, I'm a cookie girl. I don't know if that's really a true story, but I do know this. Every time I go down to the grocery store and I buy myself a box or a bag of cookies and I take it home and I open it up and I look inside. You know, there's always at least one cookie in there. It's kind of crumbled, like it's been nibbled on. So I figure maybe Emily really is out there nibbling all those cookies. I guess you could say that's the way the cookie crumbles. Cookie dough ice cream up on the board tonight to go with that story, but they haven't got it back there because I think Emily just flew through town a little while ago. Yeah. So when we have trouble in the family, sometimes it's an opportunity to tell a story. But it doesn't have to be that either. You know, there's just all sorts of occasions in which you can